Do you ever feel like we're all connected, yet no one is really connecting? That beneath the likes, shares and comment threads, we are lonelier than ever? Have we forgotten what real compassion looks like? Welcome back. In a time when digital interaction outpaces physical conversation, and performative empathy floods our feeds but leaves us hollow, today's conversation invites us back to something ancient and urgently needed: true compassion. We are not talking about thoughts and prayers, hashtags or curated emotional posts designed for validation. We are talking about compassion as a living, breathing force, hot pity, hot sympathy, at a deep, active, courageous presence that says, "I see your pain, and I will not turn away." This isn't just a soft virtue, it's not weakness, it is power, and it may be the very thing that saves our crumbling sense of shared humanity. Let's begin with what we are losing. Late 2025, we've become more digitally connected than at any time in history. Video calls, messaging apps, virtual reality meetups. Technology has made it almost impossible not to be connected, and yet, studies are revealing something alarming. People feel more isolated than ever. Rates of loneliness are soaring, anxiety and depression are still climbing, trust in others is shrinking, and at the center of it all is a profound disconnection masked by the illusion of constant contact. We live in a world of performative empathy. Social media platforms have conditioned us to broadcast care. We repost a tragedy, comment with a broken heart emoji, and move on. But rarely do we sit with someone's suffering. Rarely do we truly feel with them. Rarely do we act from that feeling. True compassion is becoming a lost art. We scroll through pain instead of sitting with it. We like someone's vulnerability post, but we don't call them. We cry at a story of injustice, but never change our behavior, and slowly, cynicism creeps in. We start believing that kindness is naive, that caring too much is dangerous, that compassion makes you weak in a world built for efficiency, strategy, and survival. But this narrative is a lie. Because compassion isn't just emotion, it's evolution, it's intelligence. It's the bridge that holds societies together when everything else fractures. Let's define what compassion really is. At its core, compassion is the willingness to suffer with another, and crucially, the desire to help relieve that suffering. It's not just an emotion, it's a verb, a force that moves us into action. Sympathy says, "I'm sorry you're hurting." Compassion says, "How can I walk with you through this?" It requires presence, it requires humility, it requires courage. And sometimes, it doesn't look nice. It might look like setting a boundary, like having a hard conversation, like standing up for someone when it's inconvenient or unpopular. True compassion is not passive, it is engaged. Think of a teacher who notices a child slipping through the cracks, and not academically, but emotionally. She doesn't just report it, she sits with him after school, asks questions, holds space. She listens until he can speak. That's compassion. Think of a man walking past someone crying on a subway bench. He hesitates, then sits beside her. Doesn't ask what's wrong, just sits, and in that silence, something sacred happens. That's compassion. Compassion is the friend who answers your 3 a.m. call. The stranger who returns your dropped wallet with a note. The colleague who notices you're not okay and doesn't pretend otherwise. And here's the science: compassion heals. Studies show that compassionate action increases serotonin and dopamine in the brain, the chemicals responsible for happiness and connection. It reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, boosts immunity. It even slows the aging process. When you give compassion, you heal. When you receive it, you remember you're not alone. But it's not just personal. The ripple effect is real. Entire movements as civil rights, social justice, humanitarian efforts have been fueled not just by outrage, but by compassion, by the simple conviction that no one's suffering is separate from our own. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. He called love the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Not comfort, not strategy, of. Think of the volunteers who show up after every natural disaster, not for a photo op, not for credit, but because they can't not show up. This is the power we must reclaim. So how do we begin? Especially in a world that often punishes vulnerability and rewards indifference. Start small, always small. Look up from your phone when someone's speaking. Make eye contact. Offer a sincere compliment, not for what someone looks like, but for how they make you feel. If you see someone struggling, pause, ask, help if you can. Be generous with listening. Hold your opinions more loosely. Let people finish their sentences. If someone posts something raw online, don't just like it. Reach out. A message that says, I see you, 'tis more healing than 10,000 hearts. And yes, it will feel vulnerable. It will feel risky. Because we've been taught to armor, to protect our energy, to guard our hearts. But compassion isn't about draining yourself. It's about opening yourself. Compassion doesn't mean solving everyone's problems. It means being willing to stay in the room with someone's pain, even if you can't fix it. And it starts with you. Can you offer compassion to yourself when you fail, when you fall short, when you're tired of being strong? Self-compassion is not self-indulgence, it's self-acknowledgement. It's the sail in which all other compassion grows. From there, expand. Compassion for your neighbor. For the person who voted differently. For the server who gets your order wrong. For the ex who hurt you but is still healing. For the stranger on the other side of the world, whose story intersects with yours in ways you'll never understand. One act at a time. This is how we reclaim our shared humanity. Not by waiting for the world to soften, but by choosing to stay soft in a hard world. By recognizing that we don't need more outrage, or we need more outraged compassion. More love that dares to show up even when it's inconvenient. So today, I asking, what small act of compassion will you choose? Hold a door, hold a silence, hold a hand. Because the truth is, compassion isn't a miracle, it's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And in time, it becomes your default, your identity, your revolution. Thank you for being here in this necessary conversation. If this message spoke to you, if it reminded you of a time someone showed you compassion or of someone who needs it now, share it in the comments. Let's turn this space into a ripple. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with someone who's forgotten how powerful their presence truly is. Until next time, stay kind, stay awake, and keep choosing compassion. It might be the smallest act you take, but it could be the biggest shift the world feels.